Hello everybody, welcome back to Mr. Naylor's class. I'm Mr. Naylor, and today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to write an equation of a line that is parallel to a given line, but it has to go through a given point. So what do I mean by that? We're going to write an equation of a line that's parallel to this one, but our new line is also going to go through the point 2, 3. Now don't forget, when lines are parallel, they have the same slope. Let's take a look at step number 1. There's 3 easy steps to this. The first step is to make sure that the equation that they give you is in slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b. Luckily for us, this one already is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then go on to step number 2. Step number 2, I want to substitute the x and the y value and the slope in for this equation here. Now, again, the slope is not going to change if they're parallel. So I'm going to use the slope 1/2. That is m. My x1 and my y1 are right here. Our new equation that's parallel to this one is going to go through this point. So I want to put 3 in for y1. So y minus 3 equals, the slope is 1/2, x minus 2. Now it's in point slope form. Now step number 3, I want to simplify this and write it in y equals mx plus b form, or slope-intercept form. So what I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to do the distributive property. 1/2 times x and 1/2 times -2. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times -2 is -1. Now there's only one more thing I got to do to get the y by itself, and that is to move this -3 to the right side of the equation. Now how do you move or undo a -3? You add 3. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I get y equals 1/2 x plus 2. This is my new equation that is parallel to this one, but that equation also goes through the point 2, 3. Now let's take a look at another example. So my next equation is going to be a little bit more challenging. I got 1 comma -2 is the point that my new equation is going to go through. And the equation is 2x plus y equals 4. Now this one's a little bit different than the last equation because this one's not solved for y. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work here real quick in order to solve this one for y. So I got 2x plus y equals 4. Now the only thing I have to move is this 2x. I got to move this to the other side. How do you undo a positive 2x? You subtract 2x. So I get y equals -2x plus 4. Now it's in slope-intercept form. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the slope, which is -2, and I'm going to put it in for m. I know what my x1 and my y1 is right here. So y minus y1 is -2, so it's going to be y minus -2 equals, the slope is -2, and then I got x minus x1 is 1. So now step 2 is also a little bit more challenging because I have a negative and a negative over here. And in order to simplify this right here, remember that two negatives make a positive. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite that as y plus 2 equals negative 2x minus 1. Also, don't forget that every time you put these points into this formula, they're always going to be the opposite sign. And when you take these points out of this formula and put them back, again, they're the opposite sign. For example, here we got negative 1. You put it back, it's positive 1. You got positive 2. When you put it back, it's negative 2, and vice versa. So the step 3, our last step, I'm going to simplify this. Got y plus 2 equals negative 2x minus 1. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time. I'm going to just do the distributive property. I'm going to multiply negative 2 times x and negative 2 times 1, negative 1. So I got y plus 2 equals negative 2x plus 2. How do I undo a positive 2? I got to get that positive 2 on the other side. I need y by itself. Subtract 2. So we got y equals negative 2x plus 0. Now you don't have to put that plus 0 there. You can also put, since it's a 0, you could also put y equals negative 2x. This line right here is parallel to this line, but it also goes through the point 1, negative 2. Let's try one that's just a little bit harder than that, maybe. Here I have the point 46, and I have the equation y equals negative 2. Now, I want to write an equation that's parallel to this one, but goes through this point. So I want it to be in y equals mx plus b form. Well, the problem is there's no x, all right? So let's say I rewrite it like this, y equals, let's say 0x minus 2. 0 times x is 0. 0 minus 2 is negative 2, so that would be what we started with. Okay? If we remember, though, y equals a number is a horizontal line. Okay, so it would look like this. It'd go through 2 on the y-axis. Anytime a number goes through the y-axis only, anytime a line is horizontal, it always has a slope of 0. Okay, so there's our 0 slope right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this in point slope form. So I got y minus, my y1 is right here, my x1 is right here, my y1 is right here. So I'm going to put 6 in for y1. The slope is 0. And then I have my x minus x1 is 4. Now I'm going to simplify. Now you're going to notice that when you simplify, and you do the distributive property, you're multiplying by a 0 now. So you got y minus 6 equals 0x and then plus or minus 0. You're going to get 0 on the right-hand side. So we're almost done. We still have to solve for y. So we got to get that negative 6 to the right-hand side. How do I get the negative 6 to the right-hand side? How do I undo negative 6? You have to add 6. So y equals 6. This line right here, y equals 6, is parallel to this line, y equals -2, but it also goes through the point 4, 6. Now I'm going to give you guys a problem to try on your own. We'll see how you do. I want you to follow the same 3 steps that I've just been doing. So I want you to write an equation that is parallel to this line, y equals -1/4 x plus 8. But not only does it have to be parallel to that line, it's got to also go through this point. Go ahead and press the pause button. Go ahead and try it. See what you get. When you're done, press the play button. Watch me do it. Let's see if we have the same answer. Okay, let's take a look at it. Step number 1, we got to write it in y equals mx plus b form. Is it already written in y equals mx plus b form or slope-intercept form? Yes. Step number 2, I want to put the x-coordinate, the y-coordinate, and the slope in for the formula. All right, easy enough. Here's x1, here's y1, here's the slope right here, -1/4. So I'm going to write y minus 6 equals the slope is -1/4, and then x minus -8. The minus is from the formula, and then we have a -8 right here. Don't forget, every time you put these points into this formula for point slope, they're always going to have opposite signs when you're done. So I got y minus 6, -1/4, a negative and a negative. We know that a negative and a negative like this, they make a positive. So x plus 8. Now you can see that we have +8 and -6. Here we have a -8 and a +6. The signs are changed. They always do when you put them in and take them out. Now the last step, I need to simplify this. Y minus 6 equals -1/4 x plus 8. I have to do what I did in the last 3 problems first. I have to do the distributive property. So I'm going to multiply -1/4 times x and -1/4 times 8. Y minus 6 equals -1/4 x. -1/4 times +8 is -2. I'm almost done. Same thing I did in the last 3 problems. There's a number over here on the left. I'm going to have to move it to the right. How do I undo this -6? You have to subtract 6. Y equals -1/4 x. -2 minus 6 is -8. That equation is parallel to this equation. Both those 2 lines are parallel. But that equation or that line also goes through the point -8, -6. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe. Please click the notifications bell so you don't miss any episodes. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.